We are
your
here.
device. That's just our dog scratching on the sofa,
That's right.
as is her wont.
Mabel says, I need to get comfortable. How dare you?
You know,
Let's see.
when I was
Would
a
you
kid.
like me to help you with that?
Oh, sure.
Because it's all twisted? Is that the
Yeah,
problem?
yeah.
So continue.
When I was a kid, I never
I think
appreciated
that's how it
Pluto.
goes.
I
Yeah,
think so.
it is.
Okay.
That's how it goes.
More on that
Yes,
later.
yes, yes.
When I was a kid, I never appreciated Pluto
Yeah.
because I didn't have a dog.
Yes.
And as soon as I, got married and inherited a dog,
Yeah.
I became a dog person.
When dog life became a part of your life.
That's right.
Yes.
Then I realized what a great job those animators did
Yeah.
with Pluto.
Yeah.
He's perfect. He's a perfect dog.
He's a perfect, very joyful dog.
Yes.
He brings me a great deal of joy.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hi, folks.
I am someone, I'm not going to name names, has changed their sleeping schedule a bit. It rhymes with schmazy. And so I have not been getting a whole lot of sleep. And this morning, Madam and I went to the Gentle Barn. If you live in Southern California, you may know the Gentle Barn. It's a wonderful organization out in Santa Clarita, and it's all rescue animals. But it is barn animals. So we saw turkeys today, we saw sheep, we saw a whole lot of pigs, very big, very large pigs, who were born on Christmas. So they all have, they've all got holiday names. The mom is named Menorah. Then there's Dreidel. There, it was very funny. What else did we see, Daisy? We saw horses. We saw some cows, all kinds. So that's my morning is playing with animals, and now here with you. But how about lab mice? No, no lab mice in this spot. No, this is a farm. The highlight, though, and you have to know this when you spend time with kids, is that they are never going to care about the thing that you bring them to. So Daisy, we're standing in this huge pen with all these different animals walking around, and she was playing with the salt lick that was hanging on one of the bars. Then she started stacking the cones, started stacking the Gentle Barn cones, and I'm going, Daisy, this is a beautiful Arabian horse, and she's like,
this is the real life 3D version
Mhm.
of playing with the box the toy came in rather than
Yes.
the toy.
Yes. It's crazy. Jesse, crazy rainbow follicles as always. Yeah, so this is the in between before I put the rainbow back on. This is the roots portion, which can look pretty ridiculous at times, as it does right now, but it is what it is, and it will be normal in a few days. Normal for me in a few days. I started watching last night Palm Royale.
Mhm.
And it's
on Apple Plus.
Yep, on Apple, and it's pretty good. Uh, it's predictable, I think, but pretty enjoyable so far. So that's nice. I watched a handful of episodes, and you definitely want to watch the next one just sort of to see where this goes. It's got a good cast, a whole lot of really good people in it, including we just saw her the other day with her daughter. When we were at Aroma. What's her name? The petite blonde actress. I can't think. I'm gonna have to look it up because my brain is mush. Uh, I went to Hebrew school with her daughter. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Wait for it.
Julia Duffy.
There it is. Julia Duffy. Well done. Julia Duffy. She's in it. And I love seeing her in something that's getting a lot of attention because she's so talented. Yeah, you like Palm Royale too, Rachel. It's very much a thing we would enjoy, and obviously all the fashion stuff is a lot of fun. Yes, Carol Burnett is Mark Maron's guest. Oh, cool! Carol Burnett's on Mark Maron's podcast. I tried to get her at one point, and they said they barely ever let her out. To do interviews, but I gave it a go. I had to, Arthur's asking if you ever interviewed Roger Corman.
Yes, I have a Roger Corman story to tell.
You have many Roger Corman stories.
Well, most of them are secondhand
Yeah.
because I got them all from my friends who worked
Hi,
for him
Days. Hi, Days.
when he was running New World
No,
Pictures
no, no, no,
in
no,
the
no.
70s.
That's Grandpa's. That's Grandpa's.
There was a
You want a
chain
sticker?
of
Hi.
people who came out from New York. One brought the next, and another brought the next. And those were John Davison and Joe Dante
Yep.
and Alan Arkush
Yep.
and Jonathan Kaplan and probably others.
All
I
your
like forgetting.
pals. All your pals.
And they love telling Corman stories, and they all have great ones to tell. Um, but for me, I got hired. It was a nice gig, a freelance job. I'm I'm fighting a cold, so I have a strange sounding throat today.
You and your strange sounding throat.
Um, they were reissuing his New World pictures and wanted new wraparounds. So I was hired to be the interviewer with Roger. And we went out to his new compound in Santa Monica, and they had dressed the set for these interviews with moviolas. If you've never seen a moviola, look it up. You can find a picture of it online.
Hi.
This was a contraption, and it's a capital M because it was a trade name.
Hmm.
Moviola was a device by which almost every film of the 20th century was edited until digital editing came along, and Avid and
Yeah.
Lightworks and other ways and means of editing films presented themselves. So right around this time, I said to myself, how would I try to get a moviola?
Yeah.
Because they're going to disappear. They're going to disappear from the landscape. And I called, I was working at Entertainment Tonight then on the Paramount lot. And I called the head of post-production and asked if he could give me a lead. He said, I'll keep my eyes open. He said, we're still using them for some TV shows.
Yeah.
Not so much for features, but I'll see. And I told that to Roger Corman as they were setting lights for us to start our interview. And the next day, a truck pulled up in front of our house, a flatbed truck. And on it, wrapped in a giant red bow, was a moviola. And when I told that story to all my pals, they said, Roger Corman gave you something? And
I love this moviola. I think it's beautiful, and you kept the ribbon on it for a very long. The ribbon.
Mhm.
Hi. Sure. You kept the ribbon on it for a very very long time. It's just a really neat device to look at, and one of my favorite things when my friends would come over, because we've had it for a long time now. When my friends would come over and they'd be complaining to me about however they were editing Avid or, iMovie, whatever, I would go, I'm sorry, what are you complaining about? Come look at this moviola. And it was so funny because most of them had never seen it, in some cases, never even heard of it. And so to show them, this is what you would be editing on. And then we interview again. I'm not going to get any names because I'm tired. But the person we interviewed not that long ago, the famous editor, the one who worked for Spike Lee.
oh yes,
Yeah, so you're not.
Sam Pollard.
So we interviewed Sam Pollard a little while ago, and one of the things that we asked him about was what is to you the biggest difference between editing digitally and editing on a moviola. And what he said, and I thought it was really interesting, multi-part. The first being, of course, that um, a lot of times when you're working with film, the directors are sort of editing in their heads a bit. You know, they know what they need to get and they know what they want to give you to be able to create what they need. Um, and I just thought it was a fascinating way to do things. But he also said that your cuts had to be a lot more deliberate.
Yeah.
You had to really know that that's where this had to go, because once you cut, you've cut. There is no delete, backspace,
Right.
you've cut it. Now, of course, there were copies sometimes depending, there might be more than one. It's not like this is
I
the
mean,
end.
the negative still existed,
Yeah.
but this was a work print that they would be using for
Yeah.
the first edit.
But just when he said that, I just thought it's so true. This is also the case, of course, when filmmakers, were still using film, you had to be aware of how much you were using, how much time you had left, because if you're getting to the end of it, well, then you either have to put in a new reel, or do something. You have to put more film in. And the other thing I love is a lot of filmmakers back in the day got their start using the ends,
Short ends.
short
I met
ends.
a guy last night.
Yeah.
Said he made his first feature using short ends from Evening Shade,
Yeah.
which shot on film.
Basically, if you know that, let's say there's, I don't know, pick a number, 12 hours worth of film in the camera, and this is just say a random number, and you're at 11 minutes and 50 11 hours and 50 minutes. Well, then maybe, depending if you know that what you're going to shoot next is going to take longer than that, you might just say, all right, let's switch it out now, so that we don't have to cut in a few minutes. Well, so then you have this unused bit of film. And what a lot of young filmmakers, a lot of film students would do is they'd sort of collect that up and use that to film. So a lot of people, that's what they did. That's how they
They
started.
call them short ends.
You take them, you take your short ends, you put them all together, and you shoot whatever you can shoot. So again, this is where, to me, I love that digital is an option because it gives so many people the opportunity to partake. It means somebody can shoot something on their phone if they want, and I think that's great. On the other hand, there is something to be said about the physicality of something, and knowing that you only have this amount of time, or knowing that when you make this cut, this
Right.
better be the cut you want.
Well, shooting on film affects everything, and I've interviewed in recent months several people who shot their newest movie on film,
Mm-hmm.
and it raises the temperature
Mm.
on the set or on location because everyone, especially the actors, but everyone is aware that you have 10 minutes
Yeah.
and you can't just fool around. You can't
Yeah.
just, do another take, do another reading. Well, you can, but you're going to run out of film at some point. Whereas digital, those cards, those memory cards hold so
Yeah.
much. And so they like shooting on film because it gives an edge to the entire troop.
Yeah. Well, it makes it physical and tangible.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you have. This is what you're working with. Yeah. Yeah. I think she's saying I'm wearing pink. Are you saying you're wearing pink?
Papa.
Hey, Grandpa's right there.
Papa, you play pink.
What color is this?
It's
Is that red? That's right. It's red. Good job. Hi, I'm wearing blue today. I'm wearing blue. Sorry. I think sometimes having set parameters can be a creative push. It absolutely can. Again, it's like anything, right? If there's a small theater troupe who is given an hour on a stage, then they have an hour.
It's like these 24 or 48-hour film festivals.
Exactly. You have to just get it done, and I think that's important. Craig's saying I liked Coup de Chance. It is Woody's best since Blue Jasmine. Woody is unique in American cinema. No one else has written and directed 50 full-length original movies in U.S. film history.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
In the early days, D.W. Griffith and Max Sennett turned out a shorter week.
Yeah.
So we won't count that. But we're talking about feature-length.
Yeah, purple.
Feature-length films, completely scripted and directed.
Yeah. It's amazing. Now you liked, my mom and my dad. You watched it, and you liked it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't love, but you liked it.
Liked it. Held my interest.
And it's in French. I was reading about that because in your review you don't mention that he speaks French. And I was looking and I read this from a few years ago where somebody was asking him about that. And he said that all of his favorite filmmakers for such a long time were French and in general European filmmakers. And he just thought that they did it better. And then that he started to learn French, wasn't great with it, but learned it. So I would be interested to know if he had any help with writing this script,
Mm-hmm.
Or if he wrote it and then sort of had somebody else go through and just polish and make sure that it was right. Because speaking a language and writing in a language are two very different things.
When Clint Eastwood made Flags of Our Fathers
Hmm.
in Japanese.
Yeah.
Um, he handed it off to his longtime film editor, Joel Cox, and said, "You can edit this." And Joel said, "I don't speak
I don't speak Japanese.
He said, "Yeah, but you've got the script, and you don't know approximately how long each line of dialogue is, and when they pause or when I say cut, which he never says."
Yeah.
But and he did. He just did. It was it was
The
like
timing of it just made sense,
Yeah.
I guess.
Mhm.
Very funny. Jesse, can I dedicate a Disney story to Daisy on my podcast on Spotify? Sure. You can dedicate something to her. She's so funny. But so at the Gentle Barn today, it was us and then one of her little best friends. And it was hilarious because multiple times the two of them just became obsessed with like, they have these really funny little scratching posts for all the animals. And the two of them are standing there playing with the scratching posts. I'm petting a llama. Maria's got an emu next to her, and our kids are just like, "This is fun." It's so funny. You take your kids to stuff, and you're hoping they're going to enjoy it, and then half the time, yeah, they play with the box. Which is it? Hi, Logan. Hi, kids. I'm telling you, we have 3 children, 2 of them fur and 1 of them human. I'm trying to think of what else you guys have watched in the last couple of days.
Well,
You have 2 new
we
film
saw,
reviews
saw
up.
Monkey Man.
Yes,
Dev Patel's. Whoa.
I think it's Step Days. There you go.
Dev Patel's directorial debut, and
Which got a standing ovation at South by
yeah.
Southwest.
Mhm.
I've read some people saying they think it is just spectacular. You and Mommy did not feel that way.
Well, I have no problem with a violent action movie, per se.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is built on a alleged foundation
Mm-hmm.
of Indian.
It's about a Hindu god.
Yeah.
One of the Hindu gods. Yeah.
Hanuman.
Mm-hmm.
Hanuman. Very loosely translated to Monkey Man.
Yeah.
And so he said, I saw a couple of interviews with Dev Patel,
Yeah.
and he's talking about how he's trying to honor traditions and customs and the spirituality
Yeah.
of in
They also speak Hindi in it. They also
Yeah.
go between that, and a lot of people were really appreciative of that.
yeah. So dialogue is not this movie's strong suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an unrelenting series
Yeah.
of really super violent fights.
Hmm.
And listen, that can be fun. It can be visceral or cathartic.
Yeah.
Just fun to watch because it's make believe. But there's an awful lot, awfully lot.
You just didn't. Yeah. You and Mommy both. You just didn't like it, and that's okay. I think people can age into and out of movie genres. Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing. There's going to be stuff. So there's a new series right now on Hulu called We Were the Lucky Ones. And it's Joey King, Logan Lerman, and a whole bunch of really, really good people. And I was watching it. I think there's 4 episodes or something that have come out, and I watched the 4 of them. Well, it's about the Holocaust, and so that's its main sort of, but basically this family that's based on the Mommy read the book. We were talking about that. It's a woman wrote this about her family. Not all of it is exact, but that. And Josh, you and me both. Josh says, how I love to look at Logan Lerman. Mm-hmm. But it's about the Holocaust, and it's really difficult to watch. And in the most recent episode, there's a whole thing where 2 of the characters think they were getting away. The trucks they're on, which is supposed to be taking them to a boat, do not, and they're going to be killed by Nazis, basically. And this woman has her small child with her. And this scene where you're not sure if they're going to kill her and the child, and they build it, and it felt like it went on for an hour, just that scene, because it was so upsetting. It didn't. But I was laying there, and and I was just crying. Scott, my husband, came home to me in tears watching this thing. And I said, if this scene doesn't end soon, I'm going to have to turn the show off because it's so upsetting. And so in terms of things like that, hi, you know, up in different parts of your life, you grow, you change. Well, now I'm a mom and I have a child. And while I think any human being watching this scene would find it absolutely, heartrending, at the same time, now that I do have a now that I do have a kid, a ridiculous kid at that, it's another level. And watching it was painful. It was actually painful to watch. And I said to my husband, I said, if this doesn't change a bit, I can't keep watching this show because it's just too upsetting for me. You have found something similar.
Yes.
Um,
Alice and I, as grandparents now of a toddler,
yeah,
are hypersensitive
yeah.
to any story in which a baby or a toddler
Is suffering,
yeah,
something's going on. So it's true. I think that, as we get older and as we experience different things, you may like something at one point, but then as you get older, you may find it too difficult. I know for me, I've always been sensitive. I'm just naturally, I'm an easy crier. It's not an impressive thing if you make me cry. I'm a very easy crier. But, as I get older, it's like, I just don't want to watch stuff that's depressing, which, because the world is so difficult already, I don't want to watch something depressing. So if I have a choice, I'd rather watch something that either makes me laugh or is just mindless.
yeah.
Like I'll put on like a vampire show or something, one of those, because it requires nothing of me. And that's great. Yeah, Ken is saying feel the same about dogs and movies. No, I can't watch, as my dad can tell you, I cannot watch any animal violence. I can't. It's
Even if I can tell her that the animal is
Don't
winds up
care.
being saved,
Don't
and
care.
no.
Won't watch it. No animal violence for me. Can't do it. Uh, yeah, it's just one of those things. It reminds me of when I first read Mouse. I had to take breaks and distance for a bit. Well, that's it
Yeah.
though. I mean, yeah. Oh no, Old Yeller. I will never watch Old Yeller ever. It will never happen. We were working on a project, and my dad wanted to include Lassie in the project. And I said, I've never seen Lassie, and I will never see Lassie. Can't do it. Very sensitive to these things. Can't do it. Oh, that's good. Josh liked the Steve Martin doc, which you enjoyed so much.
Yeah, which I also very much like.
Yeah.
Both parts. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Also, I have to say, my wife who listens to audiobooks.
Yeah.
Is currently listening to Barbara Streisand's autobiography.
Streisand.
And
If she could get Steve Jobs to change it,
that's right.
you can say it.
She got Siri to change.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
She got Tim Cook.
Yes,
the head of Apple,
yes.
to change Siri's pronunciation of her last name. I've read an awful lot of show business autobiographies. I've never encountered somebody so self-aware.
Mm.
And she did a lot of research to sort of back up her memory. She knows that her memory is, anyone's memory is not flawless.
Is she 80?
Yeah. And
can you believe Barbara Streisand is 80?
her mother
But
kept.
that doesn't seem possible.
No, it doesn't
does
seem
It's
possible.
Just, yeah.
In fact, she plays cuts from some of her albums. It's a chronological story, of course, told in a linear fashion. And I remember hearing her first album. I remember hearing cuts from her first album on the radio, on New York radio. And her voice is pitched so much higher than I think of it today.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
It's one of the biggest changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Absolutely fascinating.
My mom is loving it because she feels really kindred. They're right around the same age, the two of them, and they grew up fairly close together. And just so
Barbara
much,
in Brooklyn,
my mom in
Alice
the Bronx. There's just so much in it that my mom relates to, and so it has had a very the whole thing is nostalgic.
Yeah.
Barbara turns 82 on April 24th. Jesus.
Wow.
Where does it go? Yeah, somebody else, Arthur's saying that Diana Ross is 78. Well, when somebody has been famous as long as you've been alive, it is kind of crazy to then try to put a number to it. It's just, yeah, it's nuts. Tim said, I recently enjoyed Billy Connolly's audiobook, Windswept and Interesting. So Billy Connolly's kids went to my school when I was growing up. They left at a certain point, but how are we doing over there, Days? He has 3 daughters that 2 of them went to my school. One of them is in my grade. We're the same age. And we would spend time with him and his wife, and I would go over to their house for play dates. He was so warm and so funny. And the thing is, it's kind of crazy when you look at it because he's not famous here the way he's famous in the UK and Europe. He is a god over there.
Yep.
And here, people sort of know who he is.
Yeah, but he never made the splash that everyone thought he was going to.
I just knew that he was this absolutely lovely man that I thought he was hysterically funny. I loved listening to his accent.
Great.
He was just a blast to be around. And so, as I say, it's crazy now to sort of understand that he's as famous as he is. I say, when I started going to the UK and people would, he'd be on TV or something, and I would say, oh, I grew up knowing him. And they would be shocked. I'd say, yeah, he was great. He's exactly what you wanted him to be. And he adores his kids, and they were all wonderful. So yeah, he's another one. I have been trying to get him for the podcast because it's just a dream. Being with a toddler is like being with a small drunk person. I don't know if you've experienced that, but that's what it's like. Just a small drunk person wandering around a room. Let's see what else. Were you fans of SCTV's Joe Flaherty, who just passed away?
Yes.
I also loved him on Freaks and Geeks. Yeah, a number of your friends have been reminiscing.
Yes.
And then some of mine, including Sam Levine, of course, because he was on Freaks and Geeks, have been talking about just how wonderful he was.
SCTV was great. My wife and I had married in 1975, and it appeared shortly after that. After Saturday Night Live, it was a late show, so it was kind of almost like a secret that you felt you discovered that other people weren't attuned to. That's not the case at all. But everybody kind of felt that shared sense of discovery of these incredibly funny, incredibly talented people who worked on a budget of $1.79 apparently.
Yeah.
Putting these shows together, and John Candy and Joe Flaherty and Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara.
Yeah, it's nuts. Martin. It's nuts when you look through all of the people who were on
Martin
it.
Short.
Yeah, it's nuts. It really is just nuts. The great Eva Marie Saint is turning 100 on July 4th. Have you ever met her? Yes, we have. Thanks to TCM. I mean, you've met her before, but we've seen her at TCM several times, and she's so gorgeous still. And so, sorry, Daisy's playing. She's so beautiful and so poised, and there's something.
She's fun.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun.
She's fun. She carries herself very, very lightly.
Yeah. There's a number of people who, there's just something about actors of a certain time and the way that they were trained to carry themselves. And they just are stars. You walk into the room and you immediately look at them and you go, yeah, that's somebody 100%, that I see why you were beloved. I see it. And it's such a cool experience. Hang on, Jenny was saying something. Let me just go back up and find it.
Jenny was talking about.
Jenny says, "Don't you love all the special bits TCM is airing and putting on their Facebook page for their 30th anniversary?" I love seeing the old promos again, especially look for the silver lining and wishing they would bring it back permanently. Yes, Days. Yes, Days. Where did it go? You put them over there. All the letters are over there.
Well, we watch TCM incessantly.
Yeah, every day.
And yeah, I'm very happy to see that. That's something we couldn't do
Sorry,
at Entertainment
Elmer.
Tonight as easily, because when people left ET, it often wasn't of their own volition,
Yeah.
and there was some, still some slightly open wounds
Yeah.
and bruised egos. But TCM seems to have overcome that, at least,
Yeah.
for the sake of putting on a good face. And they're bringing back, a lot of people who really meant something.
Yeah.
And they reran, after showing Dodsworth the other night, they reran Alexa Foreman's really good documentary about Mary Astor. I'm in that quite a bit. So several people have remarked upon that in the past few days, and I'm very happy to be in that documentary. It's very good.
Daisy's not mad. She's finding the letters for this. She just handed it to me. That's why you're hearing her mess around. I was like, kids. She took my breath away in the scene from North by Northwest in the dining car. Such talent and grace. Well, that's what I mean. When you meet a lot of these older actors and actresses, they just carry themselves so gracefully, and it's something that just honestly we don't have anymore. Every now and then you'll meet a current actor or actress, and you'll go, wow. But it just doesn't happen as often. It just doesn't happen as often. I have started working a bit more again and doing events, and it is fun to see people in person and sort of get a sense of them, especially on red carpets, and seeing how they pose, how they carry themselves, because that too is such a. I don't think people realize that it's such a skill. All going well here. I don't think people realize how difficult it is to take pictures and look that good all the time, but they learn how to pose their bodies. They learn, I'm terrible. I always am making ridiculous faces. I'm quite animated. And I learned very quickly, if I'm being photographed, that I have to be very aware of that, because otherwise there's tons of pictures where I'm just going, hi.
It's the talking Sesame Street toy.
Yes. How many plates has she smashed? Only like 40 or 50. Don't worry about it. Fully, Daisy. Thank you. Thank you, David. That's exactly it. Fibber McGee's closet. You got it.
Good.
You got it. No, she doesn't even realize it yet, but she will be very good when doing live radio. Just stomping and smashing and crashing. Did you ever meet Orson Welles? We talked about this the other day briefly, but you had one encounter.
Yeah, it's barely an encounter. We arrived down the jetway at the entry point to a 747 Pan Am plane.
Yeah.
At JFK Airport at the same moment, and he said, "Go ahead," and I said, "Oh no, after you, Mr. Wells." That's my encounter with Orson Welles.
Yeah. Hey, you saw him in real life.
Yep.
That to me is enough. Yes, Days. Victoria says, I'm sorry, that the media doesn't honor the birthdays of our remaining stars of the golden age. Karen Marsh Dahl just turned 105 this week. Even the kids who were in Gone with the Wind are no longer around. Well, see, that's the thing, is I find that
What are you doing, honey?
Every time she's in front of a mirror now or a camera, she just makes that face. I don't know where it came from, but it's her favorite. Are those your teefies? I think that there's such, to me, the fact that folks are not honored anymore the way they used to be. it's just really disappointing, isn't it? Because the idea that you're only important when you're important, and that somehow you don't matter anymore. Uh, I just think it's unacceptable. I think it's unacceptable to treat people like that. And
Grandma.
considering, what do you want? No, you can't have that. That is a necklace of knives. Your grandpa has only been bringing down things that can kill you recently. Remember last week when we had those pieces from Warner Brothers? Well, Grandpa left them on the table, and Daisy came up to Mommy with the Michigan J. Frog scissors, ready to stab me. Is there anything in here you can touch? Let's look at this. This has a pin. You'll inevitably stab yourself, but hey, just be very gentle with it. Don't try to pull that out. Hey, can you get your show? Can you get your show for me? I'm going to take this. You go like that. Thank you. There you go. I think William Daniels turned 96 or 97. Well, again, like this is the thing. I am thrilled that there are some of these events now, like 90s Con and all of that, where William Daniels gets to go and be loved on. Because I mean, it is crazy to think that I always say careers are fascinating, right? You know him from whether it's 1776 or watching him on TV or whatever it is. But if you're around my age, we were all obsessed with him in Boy Meets World. And so on the one hand, it's quite funny, to think that there are people who are in their 30s and they know him from that. But it's not just that they know him, they love him. Mr. Feeney was such an important character. He was one of the first teachers on TV, playing a teacher on TV who really looked after his students in a way that I think every kid wishes they had. Everybody would want that man for a teacher.
Yeah.
So, it's as I say, I think it's nice that they can go somewhere and be celebrated. And that's why it is also important that TCM is still able to do what it does, because it's really the only one of its kind at this point. You guys are mentioning different things, Knight Rider, St. Elsewhere, but that's what I mean. Depending on when you grew up, different actors have different meanings for people.
And he published an autobiography several years ago.
Yes, I remember.
That
covered that.
That acknowledged those key parts that he played that people still cherish and remember.
Well,
TCM is having Cora Sue Collins come for a screening. She's one of the last surviving child actors in the 30s. She was never a star in the realm of Shirley Temple or Jane Withers.
Yeah.
But she was a working actress as a kid.
Yeah.
And had some good parts, especially at MGM.
Yeah.
And she still has all her marbles, and so that's that's an event now to be able to talk to her.
Well, that's, as I say, I mean, that's the thing. When you see the first time that I saw Liza Minnelli in real life, I froze, because again, this is someone, knowing her history and also knowing who her mother was, who her father was, who her sister, all of that. The amount of history held in this one person is kind of overwhelming.
Yeah.
Similarly, someone just mentioned, somebody mentioned some of the folks who are going to be who are into their late 90s, like Mel Brooks and people like that. And again, you just go, the amount of film history. What are you doing, you menace? Woof. The fact that you have these people, because when they're gone, no, Bubba, we're here right now. You can go up to Grandma if you want. Do you want to go upstairs to Grandma? No. No? Okay, just kidding. Come here. But to have those people where you still have firsthand accounts. Yeah. You want to swing?
Yeah.
We can't swing right now. But when we're done, we'll swing, okay? When we're done, we'll swing. I promise. I don't know what that was. But, to be able to see someone and have them speak about working with Charlie Chaplin. I mean, again, I always bring up Norman because, you know, he was just such an important Norman Lloyd. To be able to speak about these people firsthand and to hear these stories, you know, it's like when these folks are gone, these stories are gone. You know, like anything in history, like political history, like everything else. You
Yep.
know, when you lose certain figures, it's just kind of yeah, you're losing something really important. You're losing a strong connection.
Yep.
Um,
I got to interview Leslie Caron. Gosh, it must be 5 or 6 or 7
yeah,
years
something
ago
like that. Yeah.
at the Aero Theater. That was tied with a screening of Lily. I think the Academy showed Gigi, and then the next night the Arrow showed Lily. And it was a great opportunity to talk to her about some of the
You to me.
filmmakers she worked with, like Chuck Walters, that doesn't get a lot of attention. And she was charming and wonderful and very, you know, very lucid, very very interesting to talk to. There's some people, as an interviewer, I learned a long time ago. There's some people who are anecdotal, and some people who are not. Some people who just don't have a lot to impart. Like they don't have stickers all over their faces, for instance.
I think it's a good look. You know, I got no problem
I
with
like
this.
it.
This is fine.
Mostly she puts them on my arms.
Yeah. My dad always forgets. She'll cover him with stickers. Thank you, baby. She'll cover him with stickers and bracelets, and he forgets. And then he's walking around with them on, which I think is extra adorable. Hi, baby. Hi, my baby. What are you looking forward to with TCM? Is there anything specific other than seeing our beloved Janine Basinger? Is there anything film-wise that you're really excited about?
Yes, and everyone I talk to who is going says the same thing.
Those are grandpas.
Ben Burt and Craig Barron are doing
Oh,
their
well.
presentations on the giant ant movie Them.
Those are grandpas. Grandpa likes to put stuff in front of you that you're not supposed to have. It's his favorite game. So, Ben Burt
and Craig Barron are doing Them. I actually interviewed the director of M, Gordon Douglas, many, many years ago, because he started out as a kid, as a teenager, really, at the Hal Roach studio in the 1930s, and won an Academy Award when he was barely 20 for directing an Our Gang short in 1936. And he worked his way up the ladder. I mean, when you won an Oscar, you don't have to work your way up to anything, but he became a journeyman director, and Them is probably his best movie,
yeah,
as well as one of his best known. But he worked. He directed the sequel to In the Heat of the Night called They Call Me Mr. Tibbs.
Mm-hmm.
He directed Frank Sinatra and Tony Rome. He directed Harlow with Carol Baker as Jean Harlow. These are not highly personal or highly styled or stylized movies.
Mm-hmm.
He was the journeyman director.
Mm.
And but I was interested in the Hal Roach stories, and he had plenty. And
you interested in Hal Roach?
Yeah.
Who'd have thunk?
That's me.
Sorry, 1 second. Will Jerry Beck be there? Maybe. Jerry usually shows up for something.
I should be right. I shouldn't even be here right now.
I know you should be at UCLA.
I should be at UCLA at the Hammer Museum, watching every single thing that they're showing this weekend in their Festival of Preservation.
Yeah.
I went for the kickoff party
on Friday
Alice
night.
And I went on Friday night. Got to see a lot of people, good people, and people from the other coasts who were visiting.
Yeah.
And that was lovely, but this cold sort of got me down, and I couldn't go to Jerry's animation restoration yesterday, which I'm sorry to have missed.
What's going on? Sorry, guys. That is really weird.
And in fact, I think I've been to almost every one of their festivals of preservation. This is the souvenir booklet, which is always very nicely produced. We had a wonderful experience earlier this week, and we posted it on our podcast on Friday. We interviewed Frank Marshall.
Yeah.
I said Jack because Jack was his father, and that's the linchpin for our getting this interview with Frank Marshall.
We spoke about it a little bit last week.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a neat experience. He's so lovely, and he's so kind, which I really appreciate.
And this is the album or CD version of the album that he found in locked away in a storage room, locker in his garage.
He said that they'd moved and boxes had moved with them, and he just happened to be looking through and he saw something that was marked Chet and Jack, and then unearthed this, which is pretty incredible.
It was recorded in 1972.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful album.
Is there anyone that you've interviewed that has left you so starstruck you had to compose yourself? The most I've ever seen you, I would say there have been 3. When we went to interview Mel Brooks at his office, when we left, you were hyperventilating.
Yep.
And we talked a lot about that because we've met him many times at this point.
And by that time, I'd hosted an evening at the Academy.
No, we've been very lucky. I've got to spend quite a bit of time with him, and he's exactly what you want. He gives you exactly what you want. And he could not have been better.
He'll be at TCM introducing space bar.
I know he will. And so when we came out, we went to the hallway. You were hyperventilating, which is not something you've ever done. And you just said
Before
it was that experience of just being with him so close, just the 3 of us at this little table in his office. It was just incredible.
I realized I'd been following him since I was 12.
Yeah.
And I first saw that Oscar-winning short, The Critic.
Yeah.
And that was my first exposure to him.
Yeah.
And then right around that time is when he and Carl Reiner started performing the 2,000-Year-Old Men skits and putting them out on albums.
Yeah. It's nuts.
So I spent my whole adult life.
Yeah.
And the same with Woody Allen.
Yeah. So the other one was Woody Allen, and that was via Zoom. And he was, you were nervous, and I never see you nervous. And then the most recent one is Martin Short, where again, you were just sort of, and it's funny because normally, we have a lot of questions and we always do some kind of prep, anything like that. And my dad, for truly the first time that I've ever experienced in doing this, was sort of just quiet. And I was looking at him and I was going, do you have another question?
I froze.
He froze multiple times. And I said, why are you freezing? And he was just like, I am so incredibly nervous. Hi, Crazy Pants. What's up?
Mind you, I survived 2 interviews with Jiminy Glick.
You did.
What
are we doing, pal?
Oh, Daisy.
What are we doing?
All right, you've seen hints of this for Collector's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where I found out about these.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Or exactly when, but I became aware of the existence of costume jewelry. I brought down a black piece of black felt here, so these things would show up better. Here. Computer screen. I became aware that there was costume jewelry made in 1940 and 1942 to promote or as a tie-in with Alexander Korda's production, The Thief of Baghdad, one starring Sabu and Rex Ingram and a lot of other talented folks. And you can tell, This is going to be tough. I'm gonna just try
Here.
because
Do you mean to be holding it backwards?
yes. I'm
Oh,
showing
because you want to show
where
the
it's
little bit of
stamped.
top.
The
So
Thief
at
of
the top,
Baghdad
yeah,
Quarter.
Thief of Baghdad, and underneath it says Corda. Yep, it's very small at the top there. You can kind of see it.
These are all symbolic of the movie. Or
So here's, and they're very, and they're heavy. They are heavy. Victoria says Billy Wilder was the only star that left me in awe, which I think is pretty fair because he's Billy Wilder. Here's this guy. Did you ever interview Robin Williams?
yes, numerous times.
I did, yeah. My mom one time mistook him for a waiter at an event, and they had a whole bit going, and they enjoyed that. She always talks about it.
This is maybe my favorite.
Just to show you another angle of this one, you can kind of see.
And when I started buying these on eBay, they were reasonable, meaning $25 to $50.
Yeah.
And now the people who are still selling them tend to ask a lot more. And they did another set for this 1940 for Mr. Corda, Sir Alexander's 1942 movie, The Jungle Book. But they're all stamped on the back, so you can tell for sure
That it's the real thing.
it's the real thing. This is a nice one with the elephant. Anyway, it's so unusual. I can't think of another movie or series of movies that have inspired a full line, of which these are just a few samples of jewelry.
Yeah.
There's the Gone with the Wind, a couple of brooches.
Yeah.
All costume, none of it real gems.
Yeah.
But just
But
fun.
they're pretty great. I mean, I
Yeah.
would, yeah.
There are two pieces from Cecil B. DeMille's Northwest Mounted Police. One is of an Indian, Native American, First Nations, whatever. Whatever term you prefer.
Yes.
And the other is, I think, of a RCMP, a Mountie.
Mm-hmm.
And they're large, and if you wore one, people would say, "What are you wearing that for?" It doesn't sort of say movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't say Hollywood.
Yeah.
So I don't have occasion to wear them.
You say that, but I mean, there's never a bad time, is there? Ryan's saying that tomorrow is Darlene Gillespie's 83rd birthday.
Oh, God bless her.
And he's interested to know if you like the Mickey Mouse Club serial. She starred in Corky and White Shadow.
Boy, did I.
And if you would have wanted to do a Walt Disney Treasure set and interview Darlene for it.
Boy, did I.
Yeah. Yes. He loves. So Darlene was one of his very favorites.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, that was sort of it's just like, again, when you grow up, everybody has someone that was definitely one of his. So I get that. Why isn't Christopher Bean, Marie Dressler's last film, ever shown?
The rights to that, it was based on a French play. I happen to know this because I'm
What's up?
There's only one print in the world at the George Eastman Museum in Rochester, New York. It has never been on television. It never circulated in 16 millimeter for home use or non-theatrical. There's that one print, and I've seen that one print, and it's a wonderful movie. They did a TV version in the 50s, and there was a talk of another version in the 70s. that never came about. It's based on a French play that then Sidney Howard, the great American playwright and screenwriter, adapted. And when French rights are involved, it gets very complicated because the French have a different point of view than we Americans do about copyright and ownership. And,
yeah.
and the passing of rights from from heir to heir. And that's why.
Yeah. There
That's
you
why
go.
it's tied up.
I've recently enjoyed the miniseries Ripley on Netflix and Shogun on Hulu. Do you have a favorite miniseries you could recommend? Were you watching this season of Feud with Mommy? I can't remember.
No,
No.
I saw a little bit of it. I saw
Yeah.
1 or 2 episodes. Well, Skyjacked with Idris Elba.
Is that what it's called?
Hijacked?
Hijacked.
Hijacked.
It's skyjacked.
Yeah, that's the name of a bad feature film.
Yeah.
I thought Hijacked was really good and really suspenseful
Yeah.
to the very end.
Yeah.
So many of these miniseries seem padded out at some point,
Yeah.
and
It ended and you were content with it. Yeah. Hijack. It's
yeah,
called
Hijack.
Yeah.
And now I see they're doing a sequel.
Of course they are.
Thank you, guys.
Of course they are.
Anyway, that's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I loved the Queen's Gambit.
Yeah. That's a while ago now, though.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Yeah.
she's asking.
Yeah. 1 second. Let me see what else we've got here, you guys.
I did not care for Scott Frank's latest one, Monsieur.
I don't remember, but I remember that you watched it and didn't like it.
It's
Nah. Nah.
Monsieur Spade,
Ah.
Sam Spade. It resets Sam Spade from San Francisco to France,
Mm-hmm.
and he wrote it in collaboration with another very successful writer producer. I just didn't do it for
Didn't
me
work for you.
with
Yeah.
Clive Owen.
Yeah. No, I remember you guys did not enjoy
And we gave
that
up.
one.
We bailed on the new look. The first episode was Grabber
Yeah.
with brain blip with
It the two of us together don't make one person. The Australian actor.
yes,
Yep. Ben Mendelsohn
Ben Mendelsohn playing Christian Dior and
and
Juliette
There
Binoche
you go.
playing Coco Chanel. And it started out great, and then I thought it sort of meandered and lost the momentum.
yeah. Again, it's
And usually we see things through. We're not fickle or
no,
plagued
we'll
by
try to get to the
short
end, but
attention
some
span.
stuff you just can't. I tried to watch Ripley, but it required paying attention, which again difficult to do sometimes. So I have to wait till she goes to sleep to try that one again, because it just required too much attention, and
Yeah.
I didn't have that at that moment. You know who sent us? I told you that William Sadler had messaged. He sent us a link for his new film that's been that's been around a bunch of the festivals, and I'm excited about that. He's such a talented actor. He's such a wonderful guy and a really talented actor. And the film is called The Stage of Twilight, and I'm excited about it because I hope it's good. I think he's so good. It's again careers, right? So you have someone like William Sadler, who most people know from sort of either scary movies or playing kind of crazy characters. One of his greatest loves is Shakespeare and sonnets, and when you see him recite those, he's incredible at it. He's absolutely incredible at it. And
during COVID, he recorded
like a bunch of, I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys remember, but a bunch of people did this where they were doing their favorite sonnets on Twitter and reposting, and it was really was fun to see what people. It was fun to see what actors do for fun in that sense. You know, which ones were just their favorite to include. Yeah, that's fun. You got that too. Yeah, I feel like mommy's going to watch Ripley. I think that's a very much a mommy thing. My mom will probably watch that one. I'm not sure what else. Yeah.
knowing the story makes it less interesting to me.
Yeah, of course.
Because the talented Mr. Ripley. We did spend quality time with all that money can buy, the new Criterion Blu-ray, aka The Devil and Daniel Webster, with the great Walter Houston, Edward Arnold, James Craig, and Anne Shirley.
That's a very frightening cover.
And it is. It's intended to be.
Yeah.
And we listened to the entire commentary track with Bruce Eder and our friend Stephen Smith talking about Bernard Herrmann's Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning score. Was it nominated? Let's see. Anyway, it's beautifully restored, both picture and sound, and it's worth a look. And here's a book I'm looking forward to reading by another friend, Michael Blake, the Cavalry Trilogy. It's a great trio of John Ford films. And this is endorsed by Scott Iman and Kevin Brownlow.
Yeah. You think nobody good was available?
Well,
Yeah.
Well, duh.
Yeah. Too funny. Okay, I've a few more questions we're going to try and get through. What are some of your favorite Universal serials? Yes, from the 1930s. Almost. We're going to go to Veronica's house. It's Veronica's birthday. We're going to go to Veronica's house. What are some of your favorite Universal serials from the 1930s? Right here, right here, right here, right here.
I'm not a great fan of Universal serials. I love Republic serials. And Universal ones. Although I like Tailspin Tommy and the sequel. And I like, there's one Buck Jones that I want to get the title right. It's not Gordon of Ghost City. It's another one. One with Buck Jones and Muriel Evans and Walter Miller as the bad guy. Former hero in the silent era, turned bad guy in the talkie era.
Yeah. Jerry's saying, why do some films last while others are forgotten? And obviously it's a broad question, but it's also just sort of, it's tricky. It's the same thing. I'll ask my dad why someone isn't more famous. Pardon me. Somebody who, like, why does everyone know? Obviously, somebody like Marilyn Monroe or James Dean, it's in part because of the way that they went out, that they become sort of these larger than life figures. But why don't more people know about this person or that person? Why isn't their stuff played more? And sometimes it can come down to how available something is.
Yes, if their films are
can you
being
see
shown.
their stuff easily? I mean, it's kind of thing. If you wanted to show your kids, what's it called? Sorry, again, my brain, guys. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. That's very easy to do, right? You could go onto YouTube. I'm sure there's clips on the TikTok. Like you could buy DVDs, you could buy VHS. Like there's many ways to show someone the two of them dancing, right? But then you have everyone else, and so there are some that are easily accessible and some that are not. So that can be a big piece of it for sure. It's just the accessibility of it. Can people easily watch this, that, the other thing?
When Jesse was young and Nick at Night was flourishing,
yeah.
The shows they happened to choose to show are the ones that she watched. So they showed I Love Lucy, and they showed Bewitched.
Bewitched be Wednesdays.
Right.
Lucy Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Dragnet was Friday. Dragnet didn't work for me as a little kid. As I got older, I liked it, but as a kid, it was not. Yes.
So, but she never watched Leave It to Beaver.
Yeah.
She never watched.
I did later because they put it on sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, but just the roll of the dice. That those were the shows that they promoted and showed a lot, and so that made her familiar with the actors on them.
Yeah.
And
so again, depending on how old you are, if you are raised in America, and you are around my age, you will probably have seen a number of episodes of I Love Lucy. I Love Lucy was on Fox every day before The Simpsons, and it was also on Nick. I say America because my husband, who is from the UK, has never seen I Love Lucy. They didn't play it. So that blew me away because I thought, well, but everybody knows I Love Lucy. He knew ish that it existed, and he could sort of recognize certain things that are that get used.
For
but
years, when I would talk about different actors, I would relate everything through I Love Lucy. I was trying to tell her who Hans Conried was.
Yeah.
I said, he's the one in the episode where he's teaching them to speak.
There are two words you must never use. One of them is swell and the other is lousy. Well, give us the swell one first.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Hans Conried. So,
And I've memorized that since I was probably 9. But that's the thing. Again, in film is the exact same way. What gets played? Wizard of Oz gets played every year by some channel, minimum of once, right? And once is insanely conservative. It plays more than that. For whatever reason, it does. And the reason I say for whatever reason is because there are lots of great movies that don't get played. So it's just one that did and has. So it's interesting, but that's going to be a movie that most people, again, whether they know it or can just sort of identify aspects of it, they'll go, oh yeah, this is that.
So if you want to describe who Frank Morgan was, well, he was the guy who played the
Great
Wizard
and
of Oz.
Powerful Oz, yeah. So that's the thing is it's kind of tricky. It's even, when you were saying the other day, the actor who just passed away but was in Color Purple.
Oh, yes. Lou Gossett. Louis Gossett Jr.
It's really nice that he has a credit that's so recent, so that if you were trying to explain to someone who he was, you could say, oh, well, he was just in The Color Purple that came out. It's nice when you have something current for people to relate to. I learned with a lot of my friends, I would figure out what movie I knew someone was in. So I was really good at this. I could gauge based on your age and what you liked. If you said a certain actor's name, I'd go, okay, he played the dad in such and such, because I was constantly trying to explain who different people were. So again, you have people and films who can get lost just because it's harder to find stuff about them. And then you have some that are famous and you wonder, like a lot of people sort of unknowingly are aware of Jean Harlow, because of her fashion, really, because of the photos that they're aware of for her. They couldn't tell you anything else. They just sort of know the brow, that very thin pencil brow. It's a stylized thing. So again, you have these people, makeup artists, who are obsessed with a certain look of something, could tell you nothing about the actor or actress, but know that they liked how this looked. And so they emulated it, and now they have posters of it.
Yeah.
You've also got something, as funny as it is, but when the store Urban Outfitters opened, they were one of the first to start doing those kinds of posters like Marilyn Monroe and whatnot that every single college student had on their had in their dorm room. Suddenly you had pictures of people that otherwise they, again, may not have been familiar with, but they went, oh, this is beautiful. This is cool. And, I think probably one of the most famous ones ever is the Marilyn Monroe in a sort of a ballerina dress, sitting down. That poster had to be on thousands of walls. So again, to some degree, it's luck of the draw, which is sad, but also just the reality. As I say, I always say to you, why isn't Charlie Chase better known? And you always say, well, because a lot of his stuff's hard to see. But then he also didn't really get into the features in the same way.
Right.
And shorts, a lot of folks don't know people who just did shorts, especially of that time.
But he was popular enough to headline his own series for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And people liked him. People enjoyed watching him.
He's very likable. He's very likable. Anyway, so that's us, my friends. Now I think next week we're still here, and then the following one is TCM. So we will see you next week. If you need anything broken, just ask Daisy. She's happy to help. Everybody, please take good care of yourselves. And we'll see you next week, gentle. We'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Be kind, everybody.